Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video here on my channel, and we're going to be back to regular scheduled programming of MUT videos starting tomorrow. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering where in the hell I have been, but for tonight, actually, it is 1 a.m. I'm recording this video. My Titans just lost to the Colts, unfortunately, to get eliminated from the playoffs, but I'm not, very upset about it. I'm actually quite all right. But we're going to be getting into these playoff predictions now. We do have the entire bracket here ready to go. I spent the better, last 20 minutes creating this here. Not anything special, but gets the job done. The first game we have on tap here, January 5th, is going to be the number 6 seed Indianapolis Colts and Andrew Luck taking on Deshaun Watson and the number 3 seed here in Houston. And this is a very good week 1, wild card round matchup of the playoffs, as we have a division rival taking on another division rival here. So let's go ahead and see what's going to happen. We're not going to go and do a big breakdown of every single thing I think is going to happen in these games, but I do want to, talk a little bit about why I think, what is going to happen and why. So Indianapolis is on fire. Andrew Luck has that team playing like a well-oiled machine. Their offense is great. Their defense is amazing, led by rookie star Darius Leonard. And I think they're going to come into Houston and they are going to get the W. A lot of people may think it would be an upset, but I don't think so. I think Indianapolis is just going to be better than Houston in this game. Their defense is going to play very, very well, and Andrew Luck is going to put up points on that defense, and they are not going to be able to answer back. Indianapolis takes the win in round 1. Moving on to the other AFC wildcard matchup here on January 6th, we do have the LA Chargers going on the road here in Baltimore, and Baltimore's defense versus LA Chargers defense, very good matchup there. We've already seen this matchup in which Baltimore almost nearly shut down the Chargers, and, it looked pretty ugly there at the end, and the Chargers really couldn't get anything going. Baltimore was just looking dominant, and now they have to go in Baltimore and play them in the playoffs. But I think this time around, they're going to figure it out. I think the Chargers are going to come away with a very, very close victory, and I think it's going to look pretty damn ugly on the field during that game. I think there's going to be a lot of good defense being played, but I think the Chargers offense is just going to be a little bit too much, and they should be able to get into the end zone at least 2 times, and they're going to rattle the young quarterback there in Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's ready for this moment just yet, but he is playing great. I could definitely see them winning, but I definitely have the Chargers taking the victory. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the NFC. January 5th, we also have here Seattle, the number 5 seed, taking on Big D, number 4, Dallas, obviously in Dallas, and both teams are playing fairly well. Seattle has, been up and down this season, but mostly they have been playing pretty well. Dallas, on the other hand, kind of started off a little bit slow, kind of picked it up there in the middle, and, their defenses actually look pretty good. Dak is looking better. They have Amari Cooper now. Obviously, Zeke is Zeke, and he's going to eat no matter what. I think Dallas, with that 3-headed attack they have there with Dak, Amari Cooper, and Ezekiel Elliott, will be too much for Seattle, and I think Dallas is going to come home with the victory and move on in the playoffs. Next up here on January 6th, along with the Chargers and Ravens game, we have Philadelphia and Chicago. Now, Philadelphia kind of snuck into the playoffs there at number 6. A lot of people didn't think they would make it. A lot of people thought the Vikings would make it in. Nick Foles is now the quarterback again for the Eagles. Is there a quarterback controversy in Philly? I'm not sure. If Nick Foles does this again, guys, if he leads this team to a Super Bowl victory in back-to-back years when it is highly unlikely that he can do it, then we're going to have to start a dialogue, because there's something going on there. Maybe he just has that playoff magic. But they're going to be going into the Windy City in Chicago, and they're going to run into a steamroller, and they're going to lose. So that's what I think is going to happen. No miracle for the for the Eagles this year, guys, I think they are going to move on, that being Chicago, and take on the LA Rams. So now moving to the AFC, we have the brackets here set up as number 6 Indy advances to take on the number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I really want to see the Colts end up being able to do this. I know Andrew Luck has all the firepower in the world just by himself, but it's nothing compared to what Patrick Mahomes has this year, where, he has Tyreek Hill, which is one of the most explosive, if you don't cover him, type wide receivers. If you don't tightly cover him or even give him some space to move, he could still blow right past you. And I don't see Indy being able to keep up what they're doing to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. I just don't really foresee that happening. Even though Kansas City's defense has not been that great, I could definitely foresee a bit of a shootout here, but I think it's a shootout that Andrew Luck does not want to be in, and I think Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, everyone, Travis Kelce, so on and so forth, Damian Williams, Charkandrick West, whoever else they have their back at running back, just going to be too much for the young Colts to handle, and I think Kansas City will come away with a victory, but not in convincing fashion. I think it's going to be a rather close game. Could end up being a shootout. Moving on here, we have on the January 13th game, we have the number 5 LA Chargers taking on the number 2 New England Patriots. Now, this is where a lot of people may start to start typing up the comments and saying how much this video sucks and how we don't want you back on YouTube. You might as well, go back and leave and blah, 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 blah. But I think the LA Chargers are going to be able to overcome Tom Brady and the Patriots. The Patriots have not been playing, I'm not going to say they haven't been playing up to par, because we really haven't seen them, playing the way that we know they could play, but they're definitely not the New England Patriots of old, at least not from what I can tell. Brady isn't playing as well as he was the past couple of seasons. Gronkowski seems like he's kind of slowing down. Their running game is better now than it was, but I think the Chargers, if you get into a matchup with them, you have to be, I don't want to say you have to be perfect, but you can't make a lot of mistakes. You have to play them as well as you can play. And the way the Chargers have just been going this year, it seemed like for a while that they were the hottest team in the NFL, and I still think they might be. Even with that loss against Baltimore, I still think they are going to be more than enough to take on New England and beat that team. And this is going to be the first time in a while we see New England get eliminated in their first round. So I think the Chargers are going to go ahead and take on division rival Kansas City in the AFC Championship. Moving on to the NFC now, we do have a matchup here, and the way the bracket is set up, January 13th, we have Dallas taking on New Orleans, and then on the other side, January 13th, we have the number 5 and number 2 seed, but over here we have the number 4 and number 1 seed taking on each other in Dallas and New Orleans. Now, kind of like with the LA Chargers and the New England Patriots, I see Dallas as a team that is kind of similar in that aspect to where they probably could keep up with New Orleans, and they already have this season. They actually went in, I think they beat them pretty good, if I can recall correctly. I think they ended up beating them by a score of, let's go ahead and look it up here. Actually, it was only 13-10, so they actually just kind of shut them down, and they slowed that offense down to a halt. It looks like Drew Brees only completed 18 passes, and only had 127 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Kamara was pretty much shut down. But are they going to be able to do that away from their home? Are they going to be able to do that in New Orleans? I don't think so. I think New Orleans is going to be super hot. I think they're going to be ready to go. Kamara, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, that defense is going to be on point. They haven't really been playing really good defense, but I think they're going to try to get to Dak. They're going to try to get to him early and often, and they are going to just outscore them pretty much and win the game. I think New Orleans may play a little bit better D as well. Like I said, in this game, expect Cameron Jordan and the boys to, be able to be revved up here. Number 1 seed New Orleans, and they are advancing to the NFC Championship to play the winner of the Chicago Bears and the the LA Rams, and this is where I think, and like I said, for the number 6 seed Eagles running into a wall, I think this is where the number 3 seed Chicago Bears run into a wall, and it's going to be an offensive wall where the Rams just completely overwhelm them. That defense of Chicago has been playing very, very good this year, but I think the Rams offense is going to be able to overcome that, and I think, Mitchell Trubisky and the young guys there in Chicago are not going to be able to keep up with the Rams. And, everyone says defense is where it matters in the playoffs, but when you have an offense like the Rams have, you can counter, the defense coming at you and just overwhelm them and, get them, pretty much get in their head. And, the Bears are probably going to come into that game, if this game does end up happening, thinking like we're going to, slow them down. We're going to do all we can to, keep Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and, Brandon Cooks out of the end zone, just try to shut them down, limit first downs. But I don't think the Rams, especially at home there, with the crowd behind them and everything in the playoffs, they're up-and-coming team. They ended up getting eliminated last year pretty early on, and I think they're definitely more hungry now than they have ever been. They looked like they were the best team in the NFL almost all year, them and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't think the Bears, I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is going to be able to, contend with that type of team. Even though I think the Bears ended up beating the Rams this year, but I think that was a game where, Jared Goff just was completely overwhelmed. The defense got to him, and Todd Gurley really couldn't get it going. But that was in Chicago. This game is going to be in LA, so definitely a completely different story, completely different script. I could definitely see Chicago ended up winning that game. I think if they play the way they did early on in the year and they, their defense is on point, they can win. But being in LA, it's just going to be so hard for them to, not be able to feed off their crowd and get to Jared Goff as much as they did in that game that they played earlier on in the year. And I think the Rams move on to take on the Saints. So now moving over to the AFC again, the AFC Championship, we have the LA Chargers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And guess what, guys? I'm going with the upset, if you can call it an upset, because the Chargers already beat them this year in Kansas City. I'm going to take the LA Chargers. And I know a lot of people, again, you're probably getting your fingers ready. You're probably a Kansas City fan. You're probably really upset. This is just, a prediction. This is not going to happen, probably. The likelihood that I am dead on is very, very low. I just like to do my predictions every year. But I think the Chargers are just one of those teams this year that they have the it factor. They're kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles, where they can make it all the way and they could win it. And I think they are going to end up beating Kansas City in one of the most classic AFC Championship games of recent memory. I think the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl. Could we have an all-LA Super Bowl? Well, that answer is going to be no. I think New Orleans at home against the Rams is going to be a bloodbath. Just like the Chargers and the Chiefs, this game is going to be a classic, and I feel like Drew Brees is going to overcome Jared Goff with his knowledge, with his, I guess you would call it seniority in the NFL. He's been to the big game. He's played in big games, and I think he gets the job done. Again, I'm not going to get into so big of details on these type of games because you just can't really predict what is going to happen, play by play or quarter by quarter or just game by game. It's so hard to, say like, I think Drew Brees is going to have a huge game because I just don't know. I just feel like the Saints will get the job done. And that'll lead us into a Super Bowl 53 matchup between the LA Chargers and the New Orleans Saints. And yes, guys, I have Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints taking home the Lombardi Trophy in a very, very close game there. It is going to be one for the ages. Hopefully, it is going to be just as good as the Super Bowl we had last year and the year before. I don't want to see any blowouts. I want to see a fun, competitive, awesome game all the way through. And I think Brees and Rivers are going to deliver. Two former teammates going at each other for the first time in the big game. And I think the Saints are going to walk away with the trophy, and they are going to win. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the video. Again, like I said, if you are ready to see more Madden Ultimate Team content, we are going to be back to regular scheduled programming here on the X995 channel. We are going to be playing MUT. We have a ton of coins, a ton of opportunities here to do a lot of things. I had to take an extended break My head wasn't right. I wasn't feeling all that well, but I am back and I'm feeling better than ever, and I will explain more in detail as the days go on, but I will catch you guys later. Give the video a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let me know your Super Bowl prediction down in the comments below. Let me know who you have winning. Let me know who you have losing, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.